Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
Yeah!
We got it! We got
New
it!
52 book.
Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared. I'm here with Teladia Plays. What's up, brother?
Lois Lane is Lois Lane.
Yeah,
As
she
always.
is. So today is a very interesting. We're gonna break out our tin hats this episode because what's interesting is that there's been a lot of rumors about this new DC Ultimate Universe idea,
Yes.
which the concept is. So in the I think early to mid 2000s, Marvel launched the Ultimate Universe under the tutelage of He Who Must Not Be Named, and it actually helped to revitalize Marvel. A lot of the MCU plots are in there. So okay, fine. But the point is, it's a separate universe where they can make changes and stuff, but it's an ongoing comic line. So when I heard DC was going to do this, obviously I had to bring on Teladia because we have an idea about what the Ultimate DC universe is going to be. So
Yes, of course.
and this is backed up by Rob Liefeld, who's pretty connected in the industry. And he said, yeah, they're doing it. So I think it's safe to say what I think the universe is going to be is New 52, maybe, but done better.
A better New 52?
Well,
I'll
because
take
it's
it.
like, it was like the problem with the original New 52 is that they didn't reboot everything. Like,
Yeah.
so Blackest Night still happened, and
Yeah.
Batman went through 5 Robins in 5 years.
Yes, of course.
What?
But I think if they
Mhm.
do a new Ultimate DC reboot,
Mhm.
I would say a full-fledged New 52 designs would work.
Because what they could do is they could just bring, because the New 52 actually exists on its own Earth, except it sounds like it'll be a complete and utter reboot, so it probably won't be. They probably won't go back to that Earth. What'll probably happen is they'll take a lot of stuff that was popular in the New 52 and like repurpose it, because now it's an alternate universe. Like, honestly, Teladia, and I was talking to Britt about this. This could be how we get SuperWonder back.
But another thing too, what about the costume design? That's another theory we can talk about.
Yeah, because they have to make it so it's like different from the current costumes. Honestly, this is where I would say no trunks.
Do you think they might do something which might connect to James Gunn's universe to try and synergize it?
Now that is a question there. The only thing no, I think they'll probably save the more mainstream like line for that, because I can't imagine they're going to be like going crazy with publishing so many. Let's just call it Ultimate DC books, because then it too much competes with the other line. Because the thing about the Ultimates back in the day, it wasn't that much. It wasn't it wasn't like half of Marvel's books.
Yeah, but I just think if Ultimate DC reboot is happening, I do want to cover it. I do want to cover it on my channel.
Yeah, we'll cover it. We'll have to cover on Snyder Fans Read Comics, because there's no way we're not going to cover that.
There's no way we're not. No, we have to.
Yeah. So let's go over like individual characters and stuff that we think should go in there. Like with Superman, first off, get rid of Lois Lane. I think that's pretty obvious, and everyone that knows me knows that's my opinion. That's our opinion on that. And put more of the armor, and like probably try and like make first off, don't have 5 super people in one city. That doesn't make sense. Why? I say this every single show I bring this up. Why does anyone commit a crime in a city where there's 5 gods? It makes 0 sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. But the one thing I would like to see in this the Ultimate Universe, especially when it comes down to Superman's little circle, it should be Superman, Supergirl, Connor Kent, Crypto. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just keep it very small. Keep it to the characters that actually have longevity, because and honestly, that's another way to differentiate it from the main universe. There is no John.
Yeah, and then what they could do is bring in Steel and Steel's wife. It's not. Is it wife or kid? I can't remember.
Well, he is. I believe he's engaged to Lana Lang, but you mean Natalie, right? His daughter from Superman, Lois.
Either Natalie, yeah, either Natalie or cool to have something different there, and that's never been used in the comic. Natalie has never been used.
They exist, yeah, they do exist in the comic, but you could do it in like new and exciting ways and stuff.
Yeah,
the other thing I
exciting
wouldn't
ways,
do,
yeah.
don't touch Doomsday. Don't do another Death of Superman or Superman Doom.
No.
Just don't bring up Doomsday. Do not do that.
If you're gonna do Doomsday, do Super Doomed. Bring back Super Doomed.
Yeah, but not even that, because I'm tired of every time there's a new Superman continuity, they have to do Doomsday.
There is one story. There is one storyline that I would like to see Superman touch on.
Unchained?
Obviously Unchained, but what about New Krypton?
The New Krypton saga, they could do that. I'm surprised they never did that in the New 52, honestly.
Yeah, because New Krypton would be pretty. It'd be interesting to have New Krypton on this Ultimate Earth, so to say, Ultimate DC Earth, and
yeah, it could, because what that does, the beauty of that arc is it forces Superman to choose between Krypton and Earth.
Yes,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it also gives the idea of Superman's heritage. So I would say it gives the readers a backstory of Superman's heritage, because obviously in nowadays comics we don't get to see that. The one of DC, we haven't seen anything New Krypton related. We've seen Zod, but that's pretty much to the extent of what we're getting. And that World's Finest comic, which is that dude David too, but that's pretty much it. You're not getting anything else of.
Yeah, the other thing I would say, and this is really for the entire line, don't just bring back the same 5 writers who have written Superman in the past, because the other problem the New 52 encountered, and I talked about this briefly on your show, Teladia, is that you had a bunch of writers that were nostalgic for the period that they wrote comics, and that's fine, that's believable.
Yeah.
But then they started to undermine the New 52 to make it like the version that they wanted. Like Superman all of a sudden had less armor because Dan Jurgens didn't want to draw that. Or like they made Superman wholly different because I don't want to write that Superman. Then don't write Superman. I'm sorry.
There's only 2 people I want to see do to touch the Ultimate Universe.
Who?
Scott Snyder.
Well, he's going to do that. Well, yeah, but the creatives, rumored creatives, are Al Ewing. He was the one behind, I believe, Immortal Hulk, which is actually pretty dope. So that's cool. I think he's going to do the Wonder Woman side. Jason Aaron is going to do Superman, and Scott Snyder is going to handle Batman. That's the rumored talent breakdown. And plus, they have other creatives that they're going to bring in. So hey, I guarantee you, Jim Lee will at least do a cover.
I would like to see Jim Lee do a cover, because I'll pick up that cover. If they do, I'll pick up that cover and I'll, print it or whatever, put it on my wall or something.
Yeah, it's Jim Lee's one of those types of artists that whenever I see anything, because a lot of times, like recently when I was going through my pull list, I used to check, is there a Jim Lee variant cover? If there is, give me that in addition to the regular cover. Like with the
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, the first I think Wonder Woman issue 2, I got the Jim Lee cover as well because I love Jim Lee, and I also love the other artist that was drawing the book, Daniel Saint-Pierre. He's the other one that I think could do really well. He's the one drawing Tom King's Wonder Woman, Dark Crisis. He's a fantastic writer. Also, Dan Mora for World's Finest.
Yeah, Dan Mora is a really good writer for World's Finest.
Well, in terms of artists, because Mark Waid is the writer.
Sorry. Mark Waid is also a good writer, but like
he's good, but see, he doesn't like the new 52. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: even if it's not like the new 52, here's where it's a red flag to me because it shows that you're not going to stick to the reboot as outlined.
Yeah. But I think a full reboot is needed for fresh new readers right now.
Exactly. I've been saying for years, since before you, Nick, and Jay Heat came on Comics League, that DC needs a Flashpoint style reboot because ultimately at this point, the continuity is a mess and it's like contradicts each other left and right because no one talks to each other. Just wipe the slate clean and start over again. Plus, to your point, Teladia, that way you get more people coming in because that's why I came in with the original New 52 because I didn't have to read anything.
Yeah, and it was like nowadays comic is too conflicting with other comics. Like, where is World's Finest set? Like,
it's
really
like early days of Batman and Superman.
Even though it's the early days of Batman and Superman, but for general audience, they won't know what that is.
Yeah, in terms of the general comic book reading audience, it is difficult and it is kind of confusing. That's the other thing. It's like characters like Batman that have like 18 stories that come out all in continuity because Batman basically supports the entire comic book industry. The problem with that is that, to your point, you start to realize where's all this happening in like a week.
Exactly.
It's like this is minute in like there was in 2020 he was like fighting 3 Jokers, then he was fighting Death Metal, and I'm like, what?
It's like it's so confusing.
Yeah,
that's why like
yeah, go ahead.
No, you go first.
Well, I was gonna say that's one of the points they have to do. They have to establish the timeline first, and then say this is the timeline, and then they can't publish so many books that are obviously taking place like near the same time. Like if they want to have like an early days of Batman story, and then like a modern day Batman story, that's fine because hey, you could tell early Batman stories. But you gotta be strict with that. Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to see like a younger, like how New 52 age was.
Yeah.
I would like to see that age range for our superheroes to get now, because that's what DC is doing with in the movie realm, right? That's what they're getting younger actors. So if you think about it, for synergy purposes, do that for the film. Do that for the comics. Do that for the comics. You get people interested.
Well, to that point, if they de-age everyone and make them younger, which they very much can do because it's the Ultimate Universe, what they'll have to do, don't try and fit five Robins. Just have it where it's Batman and Dick Grayson is Robin, and then we can tell that story of like Grayson growing apart from Bruce and becoming Nightwing, and don't let Bruce Timm touch it.
And then you can have introduction of Jason Todd.
You could do that. You could do Death in the Family. You could do you could basically have the opportunity to retell these stories in new and exciting ways, and that's the problem with like the new. That's why I like Super Doomed, because what that was basically their version of the Death of Superman actual comic arc, but they did it in a new way that I was like, oh, this is dope.
This is what I'm saying, bro. It's like one of those things that what's like when we first talked about this a long time ago, we were both excited for this because the fact is there's endless possibilities that can really be told, right?
Yeah, because here's the thing. You don't have to have Superman with Lois because, hey, the Clovis Shepherds, all 5 of them, get their universe. We get ours. Everyone's happy.
But there's only one thing. The SuperWonder ship is always superior. Take that as
well, yeah, we know that. Yeah.
Yeah, we know that as Superman and almost as Superman and Lois, Superman and Wonder Woman fans. So we're just
Mm-hmm.
saying that. Um, but I do want to ask you this:
Yeah.
what crossover book do you think they should start off with?
Well, obviously Justice League. We need that.
Besides Justice
That's
League, I mean,
besides Justice League, do Titans because you kind of have to do that. Plus, you could have
yeah,
like do Teen Titans first because then you can have like since Dick Grayson is Robin in our universe, you could see
yeah.
that team grow. You could see Wonder Woman save Donna Troy from that fire, and then she becomes Wonder Girl. You could see Flash find Wally, red-haired Wally, and then turn him into Kid Flash.
There is one thing I would like to see.
What's up?
Obviously, we've got World's Finest right
Yeah.
now currently. I would like to see that continue on, but in the rebooted universe, right?
I mean, they can leave that the way it is. Why try and incorporate something that like wasn't built to be in this universe?
No. But both characters are younger, so like they're in their
Oh, you mean the concept? Yeah, that works. I can go with that.
yeah. So obviously there's no Robin
Hmm.
introduced yet, so to
Hmm.
say. This is Batman and Superman in the basically. You remember how in was it year one Super? I think it's Superman year one when he meets Batman.
Yeah, yeah. And Batman has a gun.
Yeah, something like that.
That'd
But
be cool. I could
that'd
definitely
be
go for that.
that would be pretty cool to do. I would also like to see Superman and Wonder Woman obviously have a comic.
Well, yeah, they
Run.
should. Because here's the thing: ignoring the couple thing, because
Yeah,
even though that is a significant factor here, but DC markets Superman and Wonder Woman like they're the bestest of friends, but they don't feel like it. And you know what that is? It's
yeah,
purely the Superman editorial because on Brit and Mine's recent episode, we talked about like a lot of SuperWonder crumbs that have been throughout the comics. It's all in the Wonder Woman books,
yeah.
which is astounding. And it's just because again, there was a subplot in George Perez's Wonder Woman run where Wonder Woman had just met Superman. She was having dreams about him, and then they were supposed to go on this date. The date happened in the Superman book, and then they had an awkward kiss and decided, we're too young. And I'm like,
There is one thing I would like to see in this new universe for Superman
what's
though.
up? Yeah.
The yellow S has to be there,
Yeah, I'm
right?
cool with that. I like the yellow S. Not the trunks, but I like the
Not the
yellow S.
trunks. Yellow S. So think about how do I explain it? So think about Superman and Lois design in terms of the costume, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has the yellow S at the back.
You mean this? Hang on, I'm sharing screen real quick. And there's another alternative that I would like to propose that's like that. You mean essentially this?
No,
Wait, hang
not
on.
like that.
The other alternative is to actually go full Kingdom Come and like have black in the back of the S.
I mean, they could do black, but it would look weird.
Here, I'll do this by Superman and Lois. Let's see this S. Yeah, you mean like have the yellow in the back?
Yeah, yellow in the back, but like the costume itself with no trunks.
Yes, and obviously not as padded as Hecklin's suit looks. Because
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that season 1 suit is horrible.
that season 3
Like,
suit
look at the proportions of his head.
Yeah, but obviously I want to see the cape attached, not tucked in.
Well, and that's the thing in the new 52. Remember, if they go with the Kryptonian battle armor, it's nanotech. So the cape, in fact, like dissolves into the suit as the suit like deforms when he's not Superman. And that was because the designer was like, how does he hide the cape when he's Clark Kent?
Like, let me
They were
find
like,
you.
yeah. By the way, Britt sent me this today, and I want to bring this up on the show. This is how desperate DC is for the reboot. So this is the sales rankings for 2023 by Comic Book Revolution. So it says that the Batman franchise is still a sales juggernaut for DC as it came out in second place. I would expect the Batman to continue to retain number 2 spot throughout 2024, which no big surprise. DC Comics has to be happy to see Superman franchise crack in the top 5. That's really good. If DC wants to completely avoid collapsing into irrelevancy, they need to have at least 2 franchises in the top 5. That is true. But ideally, DC Comics could grow the Justice League franchise into a top 5 franchise. But so far, outside of Hal Jordan and Princess Diana, DC Comics has struggled to generate much success with their Justice League characters like Aquaman, like Flash. And the success of Justice League versus Godzilla does suggest that there was a strong reader interest in the classic Justice League characters starring the team's title. It would be interesting to see what DC Comics does with the Justice League franchise in 2024. DC Comics has to do something in life. The Titans franchise is utterly failing to have any sales success as the Justice League's replacement. I could have told you that when they said they were going to replace the Justice League with the Titans, but it gets better. Hang on. As I said, I'm not saying so. Okay. Britt also added in the basic idea of the other point that's brought up here is that DC actually needs a complete editorial like reboot because the editors are another reason why we're getting terrible stories. I'm just going to take the horrible heckling suit off the screen, but that's the thing because yeah, it's good that at least Superman and Batman are in the top 5. Mm-hmm. But you need more than that because for the longest, because there are still people probably that don't know that like Green Lantern's a DC character. Wonder Woman, I would argue, since her first movie came out, everyone knows she's a DC character. But for the most part, I don't know how many people actually can name the members of the Justice League compared to the Avengers.
There's so many ways you could do Justice League, but I think it should be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, right? Mm-hmm. So what? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and then I wouldn't do Cyborg. Instead of Cyborg, I would actually have a new character introduced,
like a character who hasn't been on the league before, or a whole new character.
Yeah. No, a character that's never been on the league.
I would say because there's so many heroes that have been on the league. That's the thing. I'm trying to think who could be on here. I mean, they could do now.
As the main,
hear me out on this. Nightwing.
No, it can't be someone protege. I was thinking someone like Dr. Fate or Zatanna.
I think Zatanna has been on the Justice League,
but Dr. Fate hasn't.
I think he has. Let me see here.
As the first 7, by the way, as the first 7.
As the original 7, no. I don't think he ever has.
Zatanna has, though, because in Justice League Heroes. Just saying.
Yeah, she was on the people. He briefly joined the Justice League, but he's primarily known for being on the JSA. So yeah, either of those you could go with. Honestly, Zatanna could be pretty fun to have on the Justice League, and maybe Black Canary.
Yeah. And I would also bring back Aquaman because he's going to be popular anyway. So keep Aquaman in
because his movie did really well, surprisingly. So there you go. It actually got more than Black Adam,
which surprises me the most.
Well, regardless, the hierarchy of DC did change.
Yeah, but I'm gonna ask you this question.
Yeah,
would you bring the Court of Owls into the fold?
Oh yeah, I would essentially. What I would do is you could retell the Court of Owls, or you could just say the Court of Owls is canon because that's kind of easy to like do. I mean, you would have to tweak it because of like how many Robins are in that. Well, actually, here's what I would do. Since we're starting with like Grayson is Robin, I would wait until you have the 5 Robins before you do a story like the Court of Owls.
Yes,
and that was the problem with the original New 52. Is what they did is that they started the universe and then just crammed in all, particularly with Green Lantern and Batman. They said, "Oh yeah, Nightfall is canon. the time when he died in Final Crisis is canon, even though there's no way that could be canon. And I'm just like, what?
But
Just bring
it's
them in
like
organically.
Yeah. I think that's a cool idea. I think the same should be done for Superman as well, like a 5-year plan, so to say, right? So
Yeah.
the original idea is the first year is Superman, then in the second year it's Supergirl, introduction to Supergirl.
Mhm.
Then, like in the third or fifth year, you get to introduce the whole
Oh,
Doomsday.
what? Oh, okay, Doomsday. You could do that. You could do that. The other thing that I would say, and I believe Teladia has frozen, but he'll be
No,
back momentarily.
I'm
Okay, you're back.
back.
Yeah. So the other thing is that where would you fit in the Justice League in terms of that 5-year plan?
I would say year three. Year three would be an
Year three,
ideal
start the Justice
choice.
League. I think it should be the same for, and I think that should be a rule throughout the line. So that way, everyone joins the Justice League at the same time. In fact, you could build up to it in the other arcs. You could say you could have like the main villain. Don't make it Darkseid this time, and then you
No,
can like,
no.
yeah, we don't want to make it too much like the new 52. What you could do is like have this villain have all these machinations. They can even do the Legion of Doom and then just have all of these characters all of a sudden start congregating, and then all of a sudden the strike happens, and then the Justice League is formed.
Actually, you know what would be better than Legion of Doom?
What?
Injustice Gang.
True. That's kind of the same thing, except like a different lineup. But yeah, essentially that's the idea. Because you can have it as soon as all these villains are defeated at the end of each year, they're recruited by the main bad guy. Like we can make it like Lex Luthor or something like that.
Yeah, and this would be hashtag full circle to
Yes,
to the
exactly.
guy to the guy who must not be named.
Yeah, but let me put it this way: he was trying to do that in the Snyder cut too, so it's still fine.
Yeah, but I think what would be really interesting though is
What?
I would like to see a Batman versus Deathstroke.
Yes, yes, yes. Because
There has
it's
to be
kind
a
of funny.
comic of its own.
Yeah. First off, by the way, that we have to cover at one point the Deathstroke comics by Tony Daniel that were in the New 52 on your show, because those are
Yeah.
freaking dope, dude.
Wow.
But
There's so many books that I'm gonna cover. It's
so many
crazy.
books that we have to cover. You said New 52, we're covering the good books. Luckily, it's mostly good books. But to do that, what kind of annoys me about Twitter is when they always go, Deathstroke can't be the villain. He's a Titans villain. And I'm like, so?
No, he's not. He's a Batman villain too. Why do you think
he's
why
fought
do you think
Superman. He's fought Wonder Woman. He's fought Superman and Wonder Woman in the New 52.
And he's for Batman in Batman Arkham Knight and in Arkham Origins.
And in the comics. So I'm like, this whole argument, he fought and took down the entire Justice League.
Yes.
So I'm like, these are the people that accuse us of not reading comics. And I'm like, what books are you reading? Because he fights them all the time. But yes, I do agree with you. Deathstroke can be a cool like first villain for Batman. Like they do like the Batman Begins training story. Yeah. One of his trainers is Deathstroke, and then obviously Bruce Lee becomes Batman, and then Deathstroke comes to Gotham to like destroy it.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Basically, do Batman Begins.
I would say okay, but I got a better idea.
Okay, let's hear it.
Deathstroke and Batman were students together.
Students together instead of a teacher. That could work too. I like that.
And then obviously she goes down the dark route. Batman Bruce.
Mm-hmm. What they could also do is make like Batman was the star pupil. and so Slade was always like resenting Bruce. And then when Bruce was chosen to take over the League, that's when Deathstroke finally snapped, and that's why he hates Batman. That works. I like that one a lot better. Now, in terms of like, okay, so we went over Justice League. Would you have a Cyborg book, or would you put him on the Titans book?
I'll put him on the Titans book because he's a Titans character. He was George Perez's Titans character then, and that way they could pay homage to George Perez.
I like that.
That way, it doesn't have to conflict with the.
Yeah, that works. I would go with that. The other thing that we have to consider really when we're talking about these is essentially, I think I lost my train of thought. Whatever. But the other thing, I remembered now. So I think that what we should do, let's also put Martian Manhunter on the League as a founding member, because it's been a while since he was a founding member of the League.
Yeah.
I think they can do that. I think they can do that. And then I like your idea of like 5-year plan. Then maybe at the end of the 5-year plan, they could do another reboot and just keep this going, because that way you have a solid story for 5 years that follows all this. Then before it gets like convoluted, you just hit the reset button. You're good to go.
They could do the reset button, right? But what I was gonna say. Oh, that's right. I had lost the train of thought. I would like to see the Ultimate Universe get a video game.
Oh yeah, 100%. That would be great. That's how we get our Superman game.
Right, that would be cool for whoever's in charge of DC and whoever's in charge of that to say, okay, well, we're doing a book. Why don't we adapt it into a video game and get it out there, get the public to acknowledge our book? At least, the very least, we should do that for the fans.
Yeah, the cool thing that we could do is we could make it like a co-op game where it's a Superman game, or screw it, let's do a Justice League game.
Yeah, a Justice League game would be a lot better than a solo Superman game, I think.
Here's the game. You ready? It's Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but DC. That's the game.
I got better.
Okay, what's up?
I would say it'd be a Justice League game, right? It's an open world game, like Suicide Squad Killer Justice League, except for it's like Marvel's Avengers in terms of how people play.
Except obviously, not as
repetitive. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. And like not as crazy monetized. So yeah. So if you can because the gameplay for Avengers is actually really fun. It's just when it's repeated over and over again, when the same missions have the same objectives, it gets really annoying.
Yeah, and this is why I think, like the comics wise, obviously, don't do the game yet. Wait until like a few years down the line. I would say maybe year 4, year 5. I don't think we need to do a reboot in year 5 though, Jared. I don't think we need to until maybe year 7 or 8.
Year 7 or 8, okay. But my point is, have a definitive end point when the universe resets, because that way you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. You don't have to keep going, and then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, because that's how you get the convolutedness.
The reason why I say either 7 or 8, you could fit in the 5 Batmans then. Sorry, the 5.
There you go. So you don't have to leave anyone out. That's a good one. That's a good one.
And then what we'll leave on a cliffhanger is, I'm going to say this right now, right? We'll leave it on a cliffhanger. If you do a reboot, they make John Kent born. They introduce John Kent, and then that's it.
The mother's
He's done.
Wonder Woman.
No. Well, Yeah, I would like that.
Oh, I see what you're doing. That would be hilarious. That would be kind of mean to the John Kent fans. Like they're waiting all this time for John Kent, and he's literally the last panel is that.
Yeah, and then that's it.
That would be hilarious. Oh, jeez.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I had to. Tell me if you're watching this. I'm sorry.
Dude, that would be the funniest troll DC has ever done. That would be great. Now, another thing that they could do, honestly, what would probably happen, to go back to a previous point, I could see them also making this the tie-in universe for James Gunn's thing, or like make this reflect what James is doing. Because they could do it in the main continuity, but that requires more work and setup. In this, you're already starting fresh. You could just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and this could actually help James Gunn 10 times the fold than what they currently have, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because essentially what you get at that point is you get you make the comics reflect the movies, which is what we've been saying forever. And that's one of the reasons why the MCU fell apart, because they stopped doing that. And now it's and if you do it this way, you can keep your crappy universe that's confusing as hell, and then you can make it, at least in terms of costumes, reflect the movies. But see, here's the thing. It's not necessarily, I'm not necessarily as I'm not as married to the idea of making it synergized to the movies, because here's why. First, it's been proven statistically that the people from that go to see the movie, the general audience, aren't going to comic book stores afterwards for the most part. Not enough that it actually matters. Adding on to that, the fact that the problem with synergizing is that then you lose cool storylines that were ongoing, or that you could have had because you wanted it to reflect the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's really, I mean, but the potential is there, because what I said on Twitter is that they have to use, and Teladia, you're going to love this, they have to use the New 52 as a template. Because actually what's kind of funny, a lot of the discourse around that era of DC is that this should have been the ultimate universe. Instead of rebooting, just have this going on the side.
Yeah, for sure.
Because then, hey, if people had issues with how Superman was behaving, or the fact that Superman's dating Wonder Woman, you still had the other books. You could take them in a new direction. That's for you, Jay Heat.
That's for you, Jay Heat. New direction. Or, better yet, God Killer direction.
Well, yeah, but DC already stole our ideas for the daughter of Wonder Woman, so let's not give them any more ammunition. But and what's now the problem with this is that, can DC attract enough of the good writers back in order to make this a success? Because the problem with DC is that they're losing a lot of the legendary writers. Hell, with Ghost Machine, they lost Jeff Johns, Tomasi, Manipul. They lost a lot of their top tier talent that are going exclusive. So it's can they attract either some people back, or maybe new people that know what they're doing? And that gets to the idea of, we need some kind of better editorial, because a lot of the problems with DC stem from the editorial. Because a lot of the times what's kind of funny is that people think that a lot of these crappy stories that are coming out are the writer's ideas. A lot of the times, no, it's the editor that comes to them and say, hey, do a story about this, do a story about this person dating this person. And then that's how you get to this state. So my last point that I'm going to put up here is, you need to have strong editorial in order for this to work, because otherwise it's all going to fall apart. What do you think, Teladia? And Teladia is frozen. But in the meantime, while Teladia it gets back, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the DC Ultimate Universe. Okay, he had to go. Let me know what you think about a DC Ultimate Universe, where you think it could go, what you want to see in it, and and if you think it could be successful, because granted, like I said before, you have editorial, you also have to have an editorial that's willing to rein in the writers, because too often it's like you have writers like Hugh Must Not Be Named, but his last name is Bendis, where like the editorial won't like edit him because he's Brian Michael Bendis, we can't edit him, or he's Grant Morrison. No, you say, if you want to write for DC in this initiative, you have to write it the way we want you to. Otherwise, you can write in the other universe. But if you want to do it in in the Ultimate Universe, you have to write it the way we established. You can't ignore continuity anymore, because that is the really big issue with the new 52 around that time period. It's because you had a lot of writers that didn't like what they were doing, so they intentionally sabotaged it. Like with Jurgens drawing fewer lines in the Superman armor because he didn't like it, or drawing in the S-curl, or like Tomasi intentionally trying to tank the Superman Wonder Woman book. There's any number of things that can derail this, but if you manage it properly, if you actually have an editorial that has some balls, I'm going to be very crude there, that actually has the balls to say no to these people, then guess what? You stand the largest chance for success. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to compete with Marvel. Because so far, Ultimate Spider-Man is doing very well; it's beloved, but you need honestly a new editorial staff in order to compete with Marvel at this point, and that's what the article Brett sent me is talking about. It's just like, listen, because DC should be competing with Marvel, because in my opinion, DC has the better characters, just bar none. It's just what happens is, and to a certain degree, Marvel has this too. Arguably, DC is recovering, but what you end up with is the DC characters being stuffy and boring, or like acting wholly out of character for their established version. In other words, this version of Superman is acting different than the version that he did previous issues ago. So you need some continuity. If you can do that, you can figure out how to do an Ultimate Universe. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Sorry, Teladia had to go. Apparently his internet crashed. But sub to Teladia. He does a lot of great content. Sub to Comics League for more killer Under Two Capes episodes like this one. And in terms of what's coming down the channel, so this is coming out on a Friday. So tonight we have Comics League Dark, which is going to talk about going to maybe more detail on this, or we'll talk about like Deadpool 2. And Teladia is back here, which is good. Just in time, I'm wrapping up.
All right, cool.
So yeah, so obviously, but by the time this episode comes out tonight, we have CLD. And then tonight, also tonight, I mean Friday night, I'll be on Teladia's channel talking final like theories about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And then next week, Teladia and I are going to be streaming Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. We're going to be doing co-op. We're going to play through the entire campaign co-op. So that's going to be really fun. In terms of movie night, we're going to be talking about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then SuperWonder Legacy, Britt and I are doing a deep dive into the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns universe, because that's heavily SuperWonder. So, yeah, Teladia, where can we find you, and what have you got coming on your channel?
So you guys can follow me on Twitter at @TeladiaPlays_, and you guys can check me out on YouTube at TeladiaPlays. I have got a obviously tomorrow we're going to be if you're watching this later, then you know that we've done a live stream with myself and Jerry talking about our predictions for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Then next week on Tuesday, I'm going to be streaming Suicide Squad, myself and David, who's a YouTube member. We're going to be streaming it, and then Jared will be joining us either Wednesday or the weekend, was we go through the story again with him, but it'll be on his channel. So that'll be fun to do. And then on Wednesday will be the Justice League. Will be issue. I can't remember what issue it was.
I think issue 8.
Yeah, issue 8. Yes, issue 8. So it'll be issue 8. So we'll be covering that. So stay tuned for all of that. There'll be a lot more to come from me on my YouTube page. So make sure you do subscribe and do check out. And I forgot to mention YouTube membership giveaways. So I am doing that on Fridays. You'll probably want to check that out.
Sweet. And all of his information will be in the description below. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, it should also be in that description. So go ahead and like subscribe to all of Teladia's stuff, become a member. He does great work. So on that note, everyone, stay heroic, and we'll see you next week. And remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane.
Lois Lane.
There you go. See you later.